Go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about section B, the categories of complex rehab. So, previously we mentioned just an overview of what durable medical equipment is, and today we're going to hone in on the complex rehab part of wheelchairs. So there are all sorts of wheelchairs. You have lots of lightweight and basic manual wheelchairs that are what we call off-the-shelf equipment. Does not require a specialist in terms of recommending the equipment. Does not require to have an assistive technology professional from the provider side involved in the recommendations. But when it comes to custom mobility, which we said is a subcategory of DME, it's called CRT, complex rehab. There are three basic categories, three basic types of wheelchair bases that will require a assistive technology professional. And these are they. Number one is motorized mobility. Motorized mobility, there's either a group 3 power wheelchair, and we'll get into groups in another section, but any group 3 power wheelchair, now the groups go based on the size of the motors, the size of the wheels, the size of the batteries, the type of electronics that the wheelchair can accommodate. Anything that is group 3, no matter what sort of seating system is on the wheelchair, if the base wheelchair is a group 3, that is considered a complex rehab wheelchair. Now obviously your primary objective of a motorized wheelchair is for independent mobility. That is to get a patient, again, back to MRADLs. We have a patient in our home, they're unable to get around their home for basic activities of daily living, and they therefore require a mobility device for MRADLs, mobility related activities of daily living. So category 1 is a motorized wheelchair, and which motorized wheelchairs fit under the complex rehab category. You have any group 3 motorized wheelchair, or even a group 2 motorized wheelchair if they have powered seating system on top. Powered seating can either be power recline or a power tilt in space. What the tilt in space does, why a patient would need it, what their benefits are, we'll get into that at later chapters. But right now we just want to focus on the idea that a group 2 with a motorized seating system, or a group 3 with either a static seat system. Static means the seat doesn't move, it's just a seat and all the chair does is mobility, or a group 3 with motorized seating, which can do more than just mobility, can do repositioning and so on. Group 2 with motorized seating, or Group 3 static or motorized seating, that is one category for complex rehab. That's our primary category we're going to focus on. Then we also have two types of manual wheelchairs. One's called a manual tilt in space wheelchair. That wheelchair is a wheelchair that the patient, while they're sitting in the chair, we can reposition and recenter their center of gravity. What that does is that does weight shifting for the patient. That does, it can help manage their tone. They can reposition for catheter changes and multiple other benefits. But ultimately, it's a manual wheelchair where the entire seat system has the ability to reposition, tilt in space, and reposition its center of gravity while the patient's sitting in the seat. Your third category is an ultra lightweight manual wheelchair. This kind of looks like a regular wheelchair, but it's much lighter, and we'll get into the configuration in a later chapter of why a patient would benefit and qualify and need an ultra lightweight wheelchair. Essentially, it's much lighter. This wheelchair comes in two sort of configurations. One is a folding frame, which looks like a regular wheelchair folding frame, where both sides of the chair can kind of fold together, where there's a cross brace underneath. It folds up like this, and the entire chair folds right down the middle of the chair. You can put it in your trunk, in a car, and so on. The other sort of chair is what they call a rigid K5, a rigid ultra lightweight manual wheelchair. This frame does not fold down the middle. The back can fold down, the wheels can come off. It's also a lightweight wheelchair, although it does not fold down the middle. It is considered a rigid frame. These chairs are designed for highly active patients who require to have a lighter wheelchair. Also, the configuration of the chairs are slightly different, and we'll get into that at later chapters. Right now, we just want to focus on the fact that there's an ultra lightweight manual wheelchair, there's a tilt in space wheelchair, and then of course there are the motorized wheelchairs with complex rehab.